You ever notice how the biggest scandals don't start with a press conference? They start with a whisper, one phone call, one leaked screenshot, one person inside the circle deciding they have nothing left to lose. And what just surfaced around Drake has people in the industry saying this could be the one secret he never thought would get out. Because late last night, a private conversation allegedly tied to Drake's inner camp started circulating behind the scenes. And within hours, people were reportedly being removed from payroll, security was tightening up, and insiders were claiming multiple staff members were fired on the spot. Not suspended, not questioned, fired. And that's where things got real strange. According to sources close to the situation, this wasn't about a diss track, a rap beef, or even the rumors fans have been debating for months. No, this was something deeper, something personal, something people are calling Drake's worst-kept secret. And if even half of what's being whispered is true, it could change how fans look at everything. And here's where emotions ran high. Because fans are shocked after noticing certain people in Drake's circle suddenly went silent. People who used to be everywhere. Gone. Deleted posts. Unfollowed accounts. Studio sessions cancelled. One alleged insider reportedly said, they thought this would stay buried forever. Somebody talked. And when that quote hit social media, chaos exploded. But then came the twist nobody saw coming. A second leak allegedly pointed to betrayal from inside the OVO camp itself. Not enemies, not bloggers. Somebody loyal, somebody close. And now people are asking, was Drake betrayed by his own people? Was this cover-up bigger than anyone realized? And why are some saying the firings weren't punishment, but damage control? Even crazier, there are whispers a heated confrontation happened behind closed doors where voices were raised, accusations were flying, and one person allegedly told Drake, "You should have handled this before it handled you." Let that sink in, because if this is true, then what just leaked may not be the scandal. It may only be the beginning. And trust me, once you hear who may have exposed everything, why multiple people were allegedly cut off overnight, and what fans think Drake has been hiding all along, you're going to understand why the internet is already calling this the messiest industry fallout of the year. The first signs that something was wrong didn't come from a headline. They came from silence. And in the music industry, silence can be louder than any public statement. People started noticing that several familiar faces from Drake's inner circle were suddenly missing. A producer who had been seen in nearly every studio session for the last year stopped posting. A longtime security figure, known by fans who track every move, was reportedly nowhere to be seen. Even more suspicious, a private listening event rumoured to be happening in Toronto was allegedly cancelled with no explanation just hours before guests arrived. Fans are shocked, because this wasn't normal industry reshuffling. This looked coordinated. Then a rumour began spreading that a confidential file, something not meant for public eyes, had been accessed by the wrong people. So at first, nobody believed it. Social media treated it like another exaggerated industry rumour. But then one blogger claimed a source inside OVO told them a closed-door emergency meeting took place in the middle of the night. Phones were allegedly collected at the door, no recordings allowed, no assistants present. And according to that source, Drake entered the room furious. One person reportedly described the atmosphere by saying, "You could feel betrayal in the air." Emotions ran high as accusations reportedly started flying from one side of the room to the other. Now here's where it gets wild. According to whispers circulating online, the alleged secret wasn't about music at all. It was tied to something personal that had been quietly managed behind the scenes for years. Something so sensitive that only a handful of trusted people supposedly knew the full story. And when Drake allegedly realized information had leaked beyond that circle, the room exploded. One insider claimed Drake looked at a staff member and said, "Who talked?" Another person allegedly fired back, "Maybe the problem isn't who talked. Maybe it's what you've been hiding." If that exchange really happened, it changes everything. And just when people thought that was the biggest twist, another name entered the conversation. A former associate someone fans thought had long been out of the picture was suddenly being linked to the leak. Some believed this person held old receipts, messages, even recordings. Others said this was revenge tied to a personal fallout nobody knew had turned bitter. The family was left divided, at least metaphorically inside Drake's extended business circle, because some reportedly wanted to contain the damage quietly, while others believed someone had to be blamed publicly before the story spiraled out of control. By the next morning, fans started noticing even stranger clues. Several people connected to Drake allegedly unfollowed each other within hours. A cryptic message appeared on an account believed to belong to someone close to the situation, reading only, "Truth has a way of surviving." Then it vanished, deleted, but not before screenshots spread everywhere. That's when fans really began arguing. Was this a real internal meltdown? Or was someone staging chaos to make Drake look vulnerable during a critical moment in his career? Because remember, timing in this industry is everything. Then came the alleged firings. One report claimed at least 3 people were removed from their roles before sunrise. Another source insisted it wasn't 3, it was more. Nobody could agree on numbers, but one detail kept repeating. The dismissals happened fast. No gradual exit. No public explanation. Gone. And when people asked why, one alleged insider gave a chilling response. Because once trust breaks at that level, everybody becomes a suspect. That line alone sent the internet into overdrive. But perhaps the most dramatic moment came when rumors surfaced about a face-to-face confrontation between Drake and someone he once considered loyal. According to what's being whispered, the argument got so intense another person had to step between them. One voice reportedly shouted, "You made us protect this for too long." Another replied, "You're destroying everything over rumors." Imagine hearing that and not thinking something serious was happening behind the scenes. And yet for every accusation there was another mystery. If a secret really leaked, what exactly was it? Why were people allegedly being cut off so suddenly? And why were some fans convinced this wasn't a betrayal at all, but a controlled purge before something even bigger drops? Because just as the story seemed ready to explode, a new claim emerged saying the real evidence hadn't surfaced yet. And that is where the situation took an even darker turn. Just when people thought the alleged firings were the heart of the scandal, a new layer of drama pushed the story into another dimension. Because whispers started spreading that the leaked information was only the distraction. According to online speculation, the real panic inside Drake's circle wasn't about what got out, but what might still be coming. And that changed the mood completely. This was no longer just gossip about a fractured inner camp. Now people were talking about hidden receipts, private agreements, and a chain reaction nobody could stop once it began. It all intensified when an anonymous voice memo allegedly surfaced in private industry chats. Nobody could verify where it came from, but the clip was said to feature a voice claiming, "This was never supposed to leave the room. They're scrambling because the second file is worse." That one sentence sent fans into chaos. Fans are shocked because suddenly people weren't just discussing betrayal. They were asking if there was more than one secret, more than one cover-up, more than one person with something to lose. According to rumors, Drake allegedly called another emergency meeting, this time with fewer people invited. And that detail made everyone suspicious. Why reduce the room unless trust had completely collapsed? One source claimed tensions were so high that 2 longtime associates nearly walked out after accusing each other of feeding information to outside parties. One allegedly shouted, "You set this up to save yourself." The other reportedly fired back, "I'm not taking the fall for decisions I didn't make." If true, emotions ran high in a way that suggested this wasn't about damage control anymore. This was survival. Then came a twist nobody expected. A woman who had previously been loosely linked to Drake through old rumors suddenly began trending after users discovered she had allegedly posted a cryptic message days before the leak. The message reportedly read, "Secrets expire." That was enough to ignite a whole new wave of theories. Some believed she knew what was coming. Others claimed she may have been connected to the hidden story itself. And within hours, fan pages were dissecting old interviews, old lyrics, old appearances, searching for clues they may have missed all along. Meanwhile, people close to the situation were allegedly choosing sides. That's when the family was left divided became more than a phrase. Some insiders reportedly believed Drake needed to address whatever this was before someone else did it for him. Others insisted speaking publicly would make everything worse. One alleged ally supposedly warned, "If you respond now, you confirm there's something to hide." But another pushed back, saying, "If you stay silent, they'll write the story for you." Imagine being in that room, with loyalty turning into suspicion by the minute. Then social media added gasoline to the fire. A rumor spread that one of the fired individuals was preparing to speak, not anonymously, publicly. That rumor alone had people glued to their screens. Would someone from inside Drake's operation really go rogue? Was this revenge? Or was someone trying to pressure a settlement behind closed doors? Nobody knew. But then an alleged text message screenshot began circulating, supposedly showing someone saying, "If he doesn't make this right, I'm telling everything." Whether real or fake, the internet treated it like a bombshell. And right when it seemed impossible for the drama to escalate, another accusation surfaced. Some online commentators began claiming the firings themselves may have been staged to make it look like Drake was cleaning house, while the real players stayed protected. That theory split fans in half. Some believed Drake was the victim of a calculated betrayal. Others believed he was controlling the fallout. Fans are shocked because the same events were producing two completely different narratives, and both sounded believable. Then came what some are calling the most explosive alleged confrontation yet. Word spread that Drake privately met with someone tied to the leak, hoping to shut the situation down face to face. But according to whispers, the meeting went badly. Very badly. One person allegedly present claimed the conversation turned personal fast. "You used everybody around you," one voice reportedly said. Another answered, "You were paid to stay loyal." That doesn't sound like a misunderstanding. That sounds like years of resentment boiling over. And still the biggest question remained unanswered. What exactly was the secret people were risking careers over? Why was everyone reacting as if exposure would cause irreversible damage? Some believe it involves old business arrangements. Others think it's tied to a personal situation hidden from the public for years. And then there are those who insist the real twist hasn't even entered the story yet. Because just as people began waiting for someone to break their silence, reports emerged that a completely unexpected celebrity name may have surfaced in connection to the alleged second file. And if that rumor turns out to be true, this entire scandal may be much bigger than Drake alone. The moment another celebrity name was allegedly linked to the second file, the story stopped looking like an internal Drake scandal and started feeling like something far more dangerous. Because if the rumors were true, this wasn't just about one artist protecting a secret. This could involve multiple people with reputations worth millions. And once that possibility hit social media, the pressure exploded. Fans are shocked because suddenly old friendships, old collaborations, and even past interviews were being re-examined like hidden evidence. According to online whispers, the unnamed celebrity, described only as someone with long-standing ties to Drake, was allegedly contacted after hearing their name was circulating in connection to the leak. And what happened next reportedly stunned everyone. Sources claimed that instead of denying involvement, this person allegedly demanded a private conversation immediately. Why move that fast unless there was something serious to discuss? That question alone had fans convinced the drama was deeper than anyone realized. Then came reports of a tense late-night gathering at a private property, where multiple people connected to the situation allegedly met, away from phones, cameras, and public view. Some called it a crisis summit. Others called it a loyalty test. One source claimed voices could be heard through closed doors. Another alleged one person slammed a table and shouted, "This never should have reached this point." Emotions ran high as accusations reportedly moved beyond who leaked what and into who had been protecting what for years. And that's when betrayal took an even more personal turn. A rumor began circulating that someone very close to Drake, someone described as almost family, had allegedly kept copies of private communications as protection. Not for blackmail, according to speculation, but as insurance in case they were ever pushed out. If true, that changes the power dynamic completely. Because now the people Drake may have trusted most could allegedly hold information capable of turning defense into destruction. The family was left divided, not just in business terms but emotionally, with loyalties reportedly collapsing in real time. Then a dramatic alleged exchange began spreading online, supposedly repeated by someone who heard about the private gathering. One voice reportedly said, "You brought outsiders into this." Another answered, "I only did that after you made me disposable." That one alleged line made people rethink the entire narrative. What if this wasn't a random leak? What if this was fallout from someone who felt betrayed first? Suddenly, the villain and victim roles didn't look so simple anymore. But the biggest twist came when fan investigators started connecting this chaos to a disagreement that may have started months earlier. A resurfaced clip from an old event showed visible tension between Drake and one longtime associate many had ignored at the time. In the footage, Drake appeared calm, but the other person looked visibly irritated. Back then, nobody thought much of it. Now, fans were calling it the first public sign something was already breaking behind the scenes. And once people started revisiting old moments through that lens, every detail looked suspicious. Meanwhile, reports claimed Drake's team was considering a direct response but couldn't agree how. Some allegedly wanted a statement. Others wanted silence. One insider supposedly warned, if he speaks before the facts settle, it could trigger more people to come forward. But another argued silence was making the rumors grow uncontrollably. And honestly, both sides sounded right. Because with every hour without answers, speculation became its own form of evidence in the eyes of the public. Then a new shockwave hit. A rumor surfaced that the alleged second file may not be text messages or documents at all, but audio. And if audio exists, everything changes. Because accusations can be debated, but recordings create a whole different level of panic. Some claimed people were desperately trying to determine who had copies. Others believed the existence of audio was itself a bluff designed to force negotiations behind closed doors. But whether true or false, one thing was clear. Fear was spreading. And just when it felt like the story had reached maximum chaos, one fan theory took over the internet. Some began suggesting the firings at the start of this scandal weren't punishment at all. They were warnings. A signal to anyone else holding information that speaking out would come with consequences. That theory terrified some fans and convinced others the alleged purge was much more strategic than emotional. Fans are shocked because what first looked like panic now looked, to some, like calculated containment. Then came what may be the most chilling alleged statement yet. A source reportedly claimed someone involved said, "If the third layer comes out, nobody walks away clean." The third layer? Now there was talk of yet another hidden element. Another layer nobody had even been discussing. And with that, the story went from scandal to mystery. Because just as people started asking whether this could drag in more names, rumors surfaced that someone outside the music industry may have access to information capable of blowing the entire thing wide open. And if that person really decides to speak, everything people think they know could change overnight. The moment rumors surfaced that someone outside the music industry might be holding information tied to the scandal, the entire story took a far more unpredictable turn. Because insiders leaking drama is one thing, but an outsider with access. But that suggested the alleged secret may have traveled much farther than Drake's team ever imagined. And once that possibility hit the internet, fans are shocked because people began asking whether the leak was no longer something anyone inside the circle could control. According to speculation, this outsider was not a blogger, not a former employee, and not even someone the public would immediately recognize. Some claimed it was a business contact. Others whispered it could be someone connected through personal dealings from years ago. What made the rumor explosive was one repeated claim. This person allegedly had no loyalty to protect anyone. And if true, that meant the rules had changed. Because betrayal from insiders can sometimes be negotiated. Exposure from outsiders, that can spiral. Then another alleged emergency conversation reportedly took place, and this one sounded even more intense than the ones before. One source claimed Drake was warned directly that waiting any longer could be a mistake. Another claimed someone pushed for immediate legal threats to stop whatever might come next. But according to the rumor mill, Drake allegedly resisted being pressured. One supposed witness said he responded, "I'm not reacting to ghosts." But someone else reportedly answered, "These ghosts have receipts." That line alone sent social media into absolute chaos. And then came the twist nobody expected. A rumor began circulating that one of the people fired at the beginning may not have been fired at all. Some now believe that dismissal was staged so the person could quietly operate away from scrutiny. If true, it would mean the entire narrative surrounding the firings may have been manipulated from the start. Fans are shocked because what looked like punishment now looked to some like strategy. Was someone removed to be silenced or repositioned? As these theories exploded, another alleged confrontation reportedly happened, and this time emotions ran high in a way that sounded deeply personal. According to whispers, Drake confronted someone he believed had been speaking indirectly through intermediaries. The exchange was said to have turned emotional fast. One voice allegedly said, "After everything, you chose this?" Another reportedly replied, "You made this inevitable the moment you stopped telling the truth." If even a fraction of that is real, this was never just about business. This was about trust collapsing at the deepest level. And then the family was left divided in a way fans could actually see. People associated with Drake allegedly began moving differently online. Some posted vague loyalty messages, others went silent altogether. One person reportedly shared a cryptic line that read, "Everybody protects the story until survival changes the script." It was deleted soon after, but screenshots spread instantly. And once again, the internet treated a single sentence like evidence. But what pushed everything to another level was a theory involving money. Some online commentators began claiming the alleged secret may have been tied not only to personal matters, but to financial arrangements hidden behind loyalty. If certain people believed they had been cut out, that could explain why tensions escalated so dramatically. Suddenly, fans weren't just discussing betrayal, they were discussing motive, and motive changes everything. Because secrets protected by emotion are one thing. Secrets protected by money? That can get explosive. Then a shocking rumor surfaced that Drake may have received a private ultimatum. According to speculation, someone allegedly warned that if matters weren't resolved quietly, information would be released in stages. Not all at once. In stages. Think about how calculated that sounds. One drop to create panic, another to create pressure, a final one to force collapse. Whether true or invented, the theory spread because it felt believable. And in scandals like this, what feels believable often becomes its own momentum. Then came the most dramatic alleged twist yet. A source claimed Drake finally asked a question that changed the room. How many people know? Imagine the weight of that question. Not what do they know, not who started it. How many people know? If that rumor is real, It suggests the fear was no longer about stopping a leak. It was about realizing the leak may have already grown beyond containment, and just when some thought the story could not get darker, a new whisper emerged, saying the outsider allegedly holding information was not acting alone. There may be another person, possibly closer to the center of the drama than anyone expected, quietly preparing to confirm key details if challenged publicly. And if two independent voices step forward, this stops looking like rumor and starts looking like a full unraveling. Because now the question is no longer whether Drake's worst secret is at risk of exposure. The question is whether the people around him are preparing for a fallout much bigger than the public has even imagined. And just when it seemed the storm could not intensify, reports began swirling that a final piece of evidence may have already been scheduled to surface. And now you see why people are calling this one of the wildest alleged industry scandals in years. What started as rumors about sudden firings turned into whispers of betrayal, hidden files, private confrontations, possible audio, secret ultimatums, and now a final piece of evidence that may already be waiting to surface. Fans are shocked because every twist raised more questions instead of giving answers. Was Drake betrayed by his own circle? Or is someone orchestrating a takedown? Were those firings real consequences or part of a deeper strategy? And if there really is another layer still hidden, who's going to reveal it first? Emotions ran high at every stage of this story, but the biggest mystery remains unresolved. What is the secret people seem so desperate to protect? Why does every alleged insider sound more worried about what comes next than what has already leaked? And if an outsider truly has information, does Drake address this before the story explodes further, or stay silent and risk letting others control the narrative? The family was left divided, alliances were questioned, and fans are already arguing over who to believe. Some say Drake is being set up. Others think too many strange details have surfaced for all of this to be coincidence. And honestly, that's what makes this feel so real. Because the truth, if it ever comes out, may be far messier than anyone expects. But now I want to hear from you. Do you think Drake is the victim of betrayal from inside his own camp? Do you believe the alleged second file and final evidence are real? Or is this all a carefully staged distraction hiding something even bigger? And if someone from the inside actually speaks publicly, whose side do you think the industry takes? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now because I already know this comment section is about to be a war zone. If you made it this far, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because if more details drop, if another name gets pulled into this, or if that so-called final evidence really surfaces, you already know we're covering it first. And remember, in stories like this, the loudest scandals aren't always the most dangerous. Sometimes it's the secrets nobody denies that tell you the most.